All right, guys, so let's dive in. We have a pretty sad story to start with, unfortunately, today, and it's a continuation of something that we've been covering on and off for months now, ever since Joe Biden pulled out of Afghanistan. So this is on reliefweb.int. They say WFP Afghanistan situation report from the 15th of August. In numbers, 18.9 million people, nearly half of the population, are estimated to be acutely food insecure between June and November 2022. 4.7 million children, pregnant and lactating women at risk of acute malnutrition in 2022. 3.9 million children are acutely malnourished. All 34 provinces are facing crisis or emergency levels of acute food insecurity. This obviously due to the actions taken by the United States government. And I think it's not a bit, I think it's overwhelmingly hypocritical to, I give credit where I think it's due. I do think pulling out of Afghanistan was a good thing. But to then turn around and effectively starve half of their population seems quite a contrary, or a rather contradictory message. And the other sort of hypocrisy there is, listen, you guys, nobody. I'll speak for myself, rather. No, I don't want the Taliban to be any more powerful than they are. I don't like seeing them having control over people's lives. I don't think a right-wing theocratic ideology is healthy for human relations and for society. I do not support the Taliban, right? That's a separate question from should we be militaristically involved in Afghanistan. So the pullout was effectively, with our actions, saying, while we don't support the Taliban, we understand and recognize they're obviously going to take over Afghanistan, right? And yet now we turn around and we use as an excuse to refuse to provide these funds that we don't want to fund the Taliban. So on one hand, we're doing the right thing by taking our nose out of business. Now I also want to be clear, we're still undoubtedly engaged in intelligence and nefarious other things in not just the region but Afghanistan specifically. But the pullout itself is like a small good step, right? So with that action, we send the message that while we understand there are bad actors in the world, we're not going to continue to try to control that situation, right? And yet now we're turning around and saying, but we're going to starve half of their population because we don't want to empower the Taliban. It just seems a completely hypocritical, contradictory message. And obviously, you guys, feeding innocent civilians, providing the means for food to people is not funding terrorism in any way, shape, or form. And I think those people should be able to hold both of those things in their head at the same time, right? I think this is an absolutely devastating story, and I wish it was getting more attention. The magnitude of it, those numbers are insane. They're off the charts. Half of the population, you guys, children, pregnant women, starving and dealing with malnutrition. Half the country food insecure. I mean, it's just absolutely, utterly insane. So I wish this was getting more attention. I hope that there is some pressure put on the Biden administration to do the right thing here, but it sure doesn't look like we're headed in that direction, unfortunately.